Thanks for staying with us. The STEM Center at Indian River State College is an important resource for Port St. Lucie. A lot of good things are happening there. So we're going to talk about it today with Dr. Harvey Arnold, Provost at the Pruitt campus, and also Megan Carroll, STEM Center Manager. Thank you both for joining us here today. Good to have you here. Dr. Arnold, good to have you back. You were here recently. We were talking about the STEM Center on another program, but it was very important, and there's so much going on there. We thought it would be great to have you back to talk to us about it some more and give us some more detail. So for anybody who didn't see our last broadcast, I would just like you to tell us again, what exactly is the STEM Center? What does that mean? What is the Institute about?
Okay. Well, STEM is an acronym for science, technology, engineering, and math. And the mantra from industry leaders from around the state was that we have careers, we have good paying jobs. What we don't have are students graduating from college with the STEM skill set. And that's kind of the backdrop to the STEM Center coming online and being dedicated in February 2013. And that was graduating students with the STEM skill set, specifically the Bachelor of Science degree in biology as it relates to the STEM Center. We have STEM programs in the Kite Center on main campus. We have programs in the Brown Center on main campus. We have STEM programs, of course, in the Thomas STEM Center at the Pruitt campus in St. Lucie West. But it was about, if you think about the mantra from industry leaders, we have jobs, we have careers, we have good paying jobs. It was about graduating students with degrees that have currency. And that also connects, also has a role to play with the development of the Research Coast, since we're recruiting life science firms to come here. We're recruiting high-tech firms to come here. So you graduate from IRSC with a STEM degree, and then it's just a simple crosswalk over to the Research Coast for a good paying job.
Fantastic. Is it hard to find bright minds that are willing to take on this challenging subject matter of STEM subjects? Do you have any, or is there a lot of people who would like to get into the program? Or?
Well, as we touched on in our first interview, the very first year the STEM Center was open, we had over 10,000 students come through the STEM Center. This last year, we had over 15,000 students come through the STEM Center. But you know, the college has an honors program. If you'd gone to our award ceremony, a large number of students, approaching 100 students, were nominated and accepted for Who's Who among American college students. And so attracting the best and the brightest, and when you have assets like the Kite Center, the Brown Center, and the STEM Center is no longer a challenge.
And at the Pruitt campus, when was the STEM Center established?
We dedicated it. It opened for business in spring 2013, but the dedication actually took place in February of 2013.
And the building there, you have a lot of special, important, environmentally friendly qualities built into the building, into the campus out there?
Right. It has a gold LEED certification. It enjoys a gold LEED certification. We were actually after a silver certification, but we were awarded the gold LEED certification. It comes from recycling the waste. The waste doesn't go to the landfills. It is totally recycled. The utilities, the lights when you walk into a classroom are motion activated, so when you leave the lights go off, or come in the lights go on. LEED criteria just permeates the STEM Center, including the materials that it was built with.
And that's real important for you to be a leader in that, because you're science oriented, and if we look to you to see what kind of things can be done to improve environmental or efficiencies in buildings.
Right.
So great. Megan Carroll, also now as STEM Center Manager, you get to take advantage of a lot of really advanced equipment there as well. What kind of things are in the lab, STEM lab?
Well, the first piece of equipment that comes to mind is the ion torrent sequencing machine that we have, which is a fantastic machine that allows us to look at the entire genome of an organism. But before we can do that, we actually have to amplify that DNA and then analyze that to make sure that that DNA that was amplified is actually ready to be sequenced. So it's a process. So we have the machines that allow us to amplify the DNA, which are called PCR machines, and then we have a bioanalyzer that allows us to look at that DNA sample to see how well it amplified and how pure it is. After that, we can take it to the ion torrent sequencing machine, which will then allow us to look at that actual DNA. So what it is made up of, you know, all the different nucleotides that make up that piece of DNA for that particular organism.
So fantastic. Students who are interested in learning DNA subjects can come here and learn these kind of things.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So that part of the STEM Center is largely a biology lab? Is that what it's about?
Basically, yes. That particular piece of equipment is in what we refer to the student project room, but I mean, it's a biology lab, absolutely.
Okay, a biology lab that goes well beyond dissecting frogs.
Yes.
And has a lot more.
Yes.
Okay, and the students get the hands-on opportunity to work this kind of stuff themselves and come out of there with those skills.
Yes.
Any special, interesting projects or assignments that they really look forward to?
They really enjoy the cell physiology lab. So in there, they actually get to learn how to work with and culture mammalian cells, which is a difficult task. And then they can create projects where they add certain ingredients or chemicals to see how these cells respond to them, whether or not they slowly start to die off or it enhances their growth. So that's one of the labs that they really enjoy. The other one is the C-phage lab, where they actually go outside, collect soil samples, and isolate phages from the soil. So these are viruses that can attach to bacterial cells and kill the bacterial cells. So they really enjoyed this past year doing that, looking at these different phages that were collected from all over the county.
I'm not sure why that's important, but I'll bet it is. It sounds like it must be.
It is.
And that's used, does that develop on into different kinds of medical research?
Absolutely. So the particular phage that they were using was to it's the phage that can kill the organism Mycobacterium. And Mycobacterium is the genus, but a couple of the species that fall under there are one that causes tuberculosis, another one that causes leprosy. The tuberculosis one is important because we have this issue with tuberculosis and it becoming increasingly resistant to antibiotics. So this, at some point, could possibly be a way for us to create some sort of way of curing tuberculosis without giving antibiotics. Since they're not working, we could create some way for these phages to somehow be absorbed by humans so that it can actually take care of the disease.
Wow, that would be great to see advancements in that kind of research coming right out of the STEM Center here in Port St. Lucie. It would be good for all of us, and especially if the biotech arrangements can work out in this town, that would be a fantastic connection there. So, Dr. Arnold, the community supports this whole thing going on here. What kind of things do you see from the community to support the advancement of the STEM education at IRSC?
Well, in our last segment, in our first interview, we talked about all the wow factors in STEM, the helix staircase, the interactive screens, the wave tank, the 3-squared panel screen throughout the building. That was not built. Those items were not purchased from the approximately $20 million construction budget that we received from the state. That was received through donations through the foundation, and of course that starts with the William and Helen Thomas STEM Center, okay? But the Brown Center, it's not just the STEM Center, there's the Brown Center, there's the Kite Center, also reflecting major donors. But if you go through the STEM Center, every classroom, every conference room, every lounge, there's a name on that room. And so our community has always stepped up. And I also want to say our IRSC family. And as a matter of fact, when you walk in the center lobby, right there with the helix staircase, over to the right on the north wall is our wall of honor, okay? And it reflects all the members of the IRSC family and from our community that donated, made a contribution to the foundation to make this purchase of the wow factors, which is important to, exciting the students and furthering their passion for acquiring the STEM skill set.
Great.
So we raised approximately an additional $2 million for that.
We're going to take a break and come back and talk a little bit more with a student who's been out there and talk about the math training that goes on out there as well. But before we do, if somebody were interested in assisting that foundation somehow, is there a phone number or a website or some way that they can follow up on that? Maybe
You're talking about making a contribution?
Sure.
Donation? Okay. Yes. Contact Ann Decker, Director of the IRSC Foundation, and 462-4722, which is the college call center, and just ask to speak with Ann Decker.
That's good information. One last question, Dr. Arnold, on the STEM Center. Do you have specific programs or degrees for educators, for people who want to go out and teach this to the rest of the world?
We actually have four STEM degrees, bachelor degrees, and it's for middle and high school math and middle and high school science, actually middle school science and high school biology. And so what better way to go than to come to IRSC and receive your bachelor's degree in a STEM area and then return to one of our local high schools and impart students with the STEM knowledge they need to come to IRSC. And by the way, these are IRSC's commitment to meeting the governor's charge of making bachelor degrees affordable. So they're actually available at a cost of $10,000. And that starts with signing a STEM scholarship contract, and then there are other steps involved, which you can go to the flyer we have posted on the IRSC website for further details, or you can contact Recreta Williams, who is our bachelor degree advisor, at 772-462-7451.
Excellent. Really important to teach the next generation is to make sure that you're providing for that as well, so that this continues.
That's what it's all about.
Future.
Like we said in the initial interview, it's about exciting the next generation about STEM majors. And we read about the United States, our educational system slipping to number 9 or slipping to number 10, and we hear about students wanting to graduate degrees that have currency, and certainly graduating students with bachelor's degrees in STEM is definitely a step in the right direction.
Very important. Well, it's a great resource for our city and for our whole community here throughout St. Lucie County and throughout South Florida for that matter. So thank you for bringing it to us. Thank you for coming back in again today, Dr. Arnold, to talk about it, this important topic. And maybe we'll bring you back again some more in the future to let people know about this fantastic resource you're providing.
Thank you. My pleasure, and look forward to it.
Dr. Harvey Arnold, Provost at the Pruitt campus of IRSC, and Megan Carroll, STEM Lab Manager. Thank you both for joining us. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
We'll be back to talk some more about this with a couple of other people from IRSC. Okay. All right. So stay with us. We'll be right back.